video is all about the speaking section. This section can be something that is ruining your life because you can't get past a specific score. A lot of people are stuck at scores that are lower than they need. Out of 23 or 24, the scores are going up, they're going down. They get a 26 that they need, then they don't get a score in another section, and then they need to try it again. Then the next time, they get a 24, 23, or 22 again. It's really, really frustrating. We completely understand, but just like any other section, there's going to be three basic keys that you're going to want to review. Number one, note taking. It's going to be a little bit challenging, can be a little bit difficult, but understanding what it takes to take different notes and then speak from those notes is going to be really important. Speech patterns, not just smooth speech, not just clear speech, but how we're going to speak in short, simple sentences, not thinking so we're not hesitating, and all these little things that are going to prevent us from getting a good score. Number three, working under time conditions. This controlled environment can be very, very stressful. On top of everything else that you might be feeling emotionally, the frustration of not passing the test, the expectation that you need to, your deadline is approaching, all of that is in your mind as you're going through this section. So we want to close that out and focus on one question at a time. And remember the three basic keys: note taking, speech patterns, the controlled environment, timing. It's very important. All of it works together, and all of it is going to either prevent or help you get your goal score. The way it prevents you from getting your goal score is that maybe your notes or your ideas aren't fully completed or aren't fully able to help you to speak better, to help you to finish on time, so you can see the interaction of the three. As you go through the program, you want to make sure not to rush through these tests. You want to take it one step at a time. Step one, you have speaking overview, understanding what you're going to see and how you're going to approach the speaking section. Then we have question 1 and 2, the independent questions. This section is what you're going to be doing on your own, coming up with content from your own personal experience. Trust us when we say the more that you practice this, the more that you brainstorm. Not while you're walking around or not while you're doing something else, but when you're sitting down thinking of examples and writing them out. We're not saying not to do that. You can walk around because it's very easy to have these questions in your mind and start brainstorming. But when you sit down and visualize and write it out, then it becomes more meaningful to you. It becomes more real. You'll be able to see the examples on paper, and then you'll see, oh, that doesn't really work, or that works really well. The more that you study that way, the better it's going to be, because it'll be more easy to approach it every time that you practice. Then we have questions 3, 4, 5, and 6, then a full speaking test, and then more practice in how to create better content for question 1 and 2 and defeat common errors. This is a webinar that we did a couple of years ago. It's over an hour long, showing you exactly what to do and how to approach question 1 and 2. Now, what I want you to do first is to go through step 1, question 1 and 2. You're going to go through each of these parts here, each subtopic, and you're going to see the different questions that we have. You want to be able to understand all of them. Don't worry about compare and contrast or advantage and disadvantage. It's good to be familiar with it, but they're not really on the test anymore. But you can review them anyway, just so you feel comfortable with that. We have your 15-second preparation time. It's a really important part of being able to create good content. This is here to help you to understand what that is and what it means to create content in 15 seconds. However, if you're having difficulty with that, a part of your plan is setting aside maybe 15, 20 minutes just to focus on creating content. Then you can do TOEFL conditions. Don't force yourself or rush into it if you can't do it. It's like asking you to run if you can't walk. It's not going to work. So try one, then the other, then one again, which means TOEFL conditions, it didn't quite work out, you didn't quite get it, work on it. Take 10 minutes, think of some ideas, think of some examples, relax, take a deep breath. We're just practicing, there's no pressure. Then go back to the TOEFL conditions and see how you do. I guarantee you, you'll be better at it. I see it all the time in tutoring sessions, so it's a good practice to be able to do. That's what's going to help you to build better habits. You don't just want to do it once and then not do it again. You want to do it consistently over and over again, especially for challenging questions. Then you're going to see further down tips on how to do that, and then your 45-second speech. This little section here about the timing is very important. If you're not able to finish on time, review this. You want to look at this chart, memorize it, manage your time, put it in chunks, the introduction, reason and example 1, reason and example 2, conclusion if you want to, it's optional. Then you'll be able to understand how much time you have for each part, you'll be able to break it down, and then you'll be able to practice better. This is all a part of our plan. Again, we have different aspects of each question that you want to absolutely perfect and master 100%. If we don't do that, if we're not able to perform that way, then you're not going to get your goal score because you want to overcome those particular weaknesses. The bottom part here is going to help you with specific videos on how to approach the content and what you need to do to be able to create better content for the examples. So again, we have different parts. We have your preparation, we have your speaking time, we have the outline for the timing and how you're going to create content in these videos. So you want to break it down for question 1 and 2, focus on one thing at a time, whether it's your preparation and brainstorming time, then your speaking time and outlining that in sections, and then you'll be able to approach it more confidently and more competently. Then you have questions that involve note-taking, questions 3, 4, 5, and 6. When you go to question 3 and question 5, this is the conversation. If you're struggling with that, again, we have the same process here. You don't want to rush through the test. You want to go through it a little bit at a time. Remember understanding how the structure is, what you're going to be approaching. We have a reading. We're going to look for the change. Then you're going to have a conversation. What's the outline of the conversation? We have that here for you. We want to understand what that is and how to approach it. We have 3 parts: the opinion, the reason and example, then another reason example. Again, just like question 1 and 2, we're breaking it down into parts and trying to understand what to do and how to approach it. We have example notes here. We also have the timing and how to prepare those notes. When you look at your notes, you just want to extract the major points that are related to the change in the opinion. That way, you'll be able to cut out information that we don't need that might be extra. When you go down further, we have the timing strategy. So these are all points of reference that we're bringing up. We're just pointing out different parts of the program that you want to review and reference. If you're struggling with timing, this is the place to go. Step 1, question 3. You want to practice that. And as a study plan, what you want to do is not spend 6 hours on this. Just give yourself maybe 20, 30 minutes just to review it, practice a couple of questions, practice one question. Just do it in pieces. Try to do it maybe by 51 seconds, maybe by 43, then 23, then 3, then 0. Maybe you just want to do the whole thing. You want to understand what your weaknesses are so that you can deliberately focus on those points and then do it under TOEFL conditions. So a lot of it is going from TOEFL conditions to just focusing on one part of the question and then understanding how to do it under TOEFL conditions after we build that skill and comprehension of what to do. And then you'll be able to see perfect answers and understand how to approach it in a better, more consistent way. For question 5, we have the same process with a very specific template that will enable you to get the score that you need. You want to focus on it, memorize it, use it. It will help to organize it, and you'll sound better and more fluent and more relaxed, and you'll feel less hesitant as you go through it. You can go to question 5 in step 1 to understand that. We have a question, we have the breakdown of what you're going to expect in the conversation, then we have the timing and how to approach your notes. Remember that timing is going to be really important here. If you're struggling with the template, this is the place to go. You'll be able to see the different parts here about how to prepare your notes. Then you'll be able to understand the timing aspect of it, what you're going to be looking at when you're trying to finish in 60 seconds. Go down to your 60-second response time. Can you finish within 30 seconds? If you can't, then we have to cut back notes. Can you finish within 15 seconds for each solution? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. If you can, keep doing it, keep mastering it. Great work. If you can't, that's really not a problem. You'll be able to do it. Maybe you can't do it today. You'll definitely be able to do it tomorrow or maybe next week. It's never going to be completely final where you're never going to get it. You're going to get it eventually. You just need to keep at it and keep motivated and keep practicing. A lot of the difficulty for many students is question 4 and 6. So if you're struggling with question 4 and 6, we go to question 4 and question 6. Now these questions are going to be very important because they're related to note taking. So you want to be able to first understand how we're going to approach listening comprehension, listen to a variety of topics through YouTube, through understanding how you're going to listen to lectures and extract information. Every lecture has the same process. There's always going to be the same structure, which is a main idea and a bunch of details related to that one main idea. Question 4, for this example, is sustainability. If you look at step 1 in this question, that's what the main idea is about. That's what the definition is about. The details and the illustration and the examples are going to link to that. So those are all the details that we want to write down. That's a part of the example. So you want to be able to approach it that way and understand the sequence of the content. When you're writing content down, you want to extract the subject, verb, and object, at least the main idea if you can't do that. And when you're looking at your notes, you want to be able to cut back what you don't need. You don't want to have too much, but you also don't want to have too little. As you're going through this process, we have to prepare. And in that preparation time, this is where we're cutting out notes. At 60 seconds, you may or may not be able to finish on time. If you can't, then you want to be able to understand what's holding you back. Are you confused and disorganized with your notes? Then shut off the timer, look at your notes and see, why are you confused? Were you scattered and disorganized? You want to go back to the lecture and fill in the gaps after you do the question under TOEFL conditions, but it's okay. Go through that pressure and that stress so you're able to master it. When you go through the process and you're really not sure about what to do, you want to go back and cross out unnecessary information or information that's not related to the main idea. That's if you're exceeding the amount of time that it takes, which is 60 seconds, because you have too much information. Remember your magic number. How many lines of notes can you say at 60 seconds at a good, moderate pace? If you're talking too fast, you have too many notes. If you're talking too slow, you may be distracted because you want to be able to say everything perfectly. So we want to strike a balance where you're able to read your notes, not think about that, and focus on the timing here. So it becomes a balancing process which you want to refer back to in step 1 every single time that you're struggling with it. All your answers, all the practical solutions are here. If you're still struggling with question 4 and question 6 and any other question, we can go to step 3. In step 3, we have timing mastery, which you'll find here, and you'll be able to master how to approach each type of question and how you're going to be able to fit in that content. You also have the section here about great notes. In this particular section, you're going to identify how to take notes, how to take better notes, and how to work on listening comprehension. Most students don't have a problem with pronunciation, but we have those sections here in part 1 and 2 of pronunciation. You can practice that as a part of your plan, a little bit for note-taking, a little bit for timing, a little bit for pronunciation. If you have an hour, you'll do 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes for each part. It depends on how much time you have and how much work you need to do for each of those sections. Then, down here, we have 3 final keys, which will enable you to practice better and understand how to speak more clearly and focus on intonation. Remember that you have all the solutions here, all of the parts that are going to enable you to get out of a 23. That range is indicating that maybe one of these parts that we've talked about in step 1 is not really mastered, it's not really perfected. That's okay. We'll go back to question 1 and 2, 4 and 6, or maybe 3 and 5. We'll work on the timing, maybe the preparation, maybe the listening, maybe the note-taking. It's really going to be broken down into each section. We're taking it all apart. We're going to focus on one more than the other if you need to. We're going to focus on all equally, whatever it's going to take, and then we're pulling it back together under TOEFL conditions, and that is what's going to help you to get a 26, 27, or even a 28, because so many of the students that we speak to are perfectly capable of getting that high of a score. It's just that you're missing components, or you're not speaking clearly, or you're not really mastering timing and cutting out those pieces of information that we don't need. So remember, all the solutions are here. You'll start with step 1, the basics. Try to practice a test here. You'll be able to perform and see where your weaknesses are. Make note of that. Based on that foundation in step 2, then we have the practice and the review. Then you're going to see again, did you improve? Are you decreasing in your ability to be able to speak well? Are you increasing? Are you staying the same? If you're not improving, we go back to step 1, to that question, preparation time, speaking time, whatever other part of that question that you're really struggling with, and we'll review it. Then in step 3, You're going to really focus on the notes, the timing, maybe the intonation, maybe the speed in which we're going to be speaking. All those components are there, so you want to make sure to prioritize what's more important. Not what's more important to the TOEFL grader, but what is specific to you. What do you need to work on more? So spend more time doing that while focusing on the other elements as well. So use your time and divide it up equally so you're able to understand what needs the most work, what needs the most effort. That's what's going to help you to move on and to be able to pass the test. Nobody likes the test. This is probably the most challenging part for a lot of students. It's really annoying and really frustrating, and probably not the best indicator or measurement of a person's fluency. But for now, the best we have, it's what we have to do. So just stay motivated, stay strong. It's very, very hard to do the same thing 100 times. It gets boring. It gets expensive. It gets time consuming. You make so much sacrifice for a silly test. We completely understand. We empathize with you, and we're here to help if there's anything specific that you need. Maybe tutoring and reviews might help. Maybe not. Maybe you just need to review step one. But whatever your question, review it here first and then let us know at studenthelp@noteful.com, and we'll be happy to help you as quickly as possible. Remember that reviewing deliberately is the most important part of this section. You want to assess the weaknesses, find the solutions in step 1, 2, or 3, then you'll approach it by dividing your time based on what your needs are. That's how you're going to succeed. Good luck, and we hope to hear from you very soon.